my name is Jason with AlarmSystemStore.com, and in today's video I'm going to go through the programming for the Honeywell Lynx L5210. The same programming steps can pretty much be used for the L7000 as well. So let's go to the table and we'll get started. Alright, so the first thing that we have to do is hook up the power, both the power transformer as well as the backup battery. It is an all wireless system with the exception of the power wire. It does need to be plugged in. So the first thing we need to do to get that to happen, there's two tabs on the top, so we have to get this panel open. So what I do is I just gently press down and forward each side. Once they're kind of locked down like that, you can just gently pry it open. That way you're not making any damage or tearing up your fingers trying to get this open. So the first thing that we'll hook up is it's actually a DC power. So this is a DC power transformer. So you can see that it's got a plus and a minus side. So unlike with an AC power source, you have to keep those straight. So you always want to use your red wire on the positive. And I'm just using a 18 gauge 2 conductor wire. I put some spade connectors on here just to make it easy to hook up to the transformer, but you don't need to. So red to positive, black to negative. That's all set. And then the wire itself, you'll actually want to run through the back. So there's a little channel right here that the wire can sit in so that the panel sits flush against the wall. You can use the one here or you can use the one here. It doesn't really matter whichever direction you want to go. I'm going to use this side. When you go over here, you can actually put the wire underneath one of those tabs, kind of hold it in place if you want, and then make sure that it's running through the correct spot. So, and I'll try to make it so you can see this. So we got this terminal block. Usually it'll be under the stop sticker. It wasn't this time, but usually the stop sticker will be right there, just telling you to use the correct power supply. You can take that off, throw it away, whatever you want to do with it. So the first terminal, it's labeled on the board here, plus 9 VDC. Second one is labeled GND. So plus 9 VDC is our positive DC wire, which is a red wire. And then the GND is going to be our black wire. So we'll take our wires, pull enough through that I can do it here. Now these terminals, you definitely want to make them tight, but you don't need to screw them down so you strip the screws or anything like that. You just want to make sure there's a good connection, make sure they're snug, make sure the wire doesn't easily pull out. Things like that. And you'll do the same for the black wire into the second terminal. Alright, so those are both snug. And then we can hook up the backup battery. So the backup battery is going to go in this compartment here. And you can see there's a little notch out the side right here. That's where you'll want to run your wires. So you set that in there. Wires go into that notch. And then there's a couple terminals here. One has 3, one has 2. We only need 2, so that's one we're going to use. And the way it's shaped, you can only put it in one way. If I flip this backwards, I can't put it in. So we'll put it in the correct way. It just snaps into place just like that. Then there's this little clip here. And you can see it's got a little hook right here, hole here for a screw. And what you'll do with that is there's a couple spots right here. If you have a high capacity battery, you'd use that taller one. For this regular battery, you can just use the lower one here. And you can see it lines up with the hole right there. And you'll actually just put in one of the provided screws straight through there. If you want. For the purpose of this video, I'm not going to worry about putting that in. So I always like to kind of make sure none of my wires are getting pinched as I close this up. And then it takes a little bit of pressure and snaps closed just like that. So then you can make sure that this wire is routed the way you want it. You know, I just snap it under one of those little tabs there, and it lays flat against the wall, because you want to be wall mounting this. Wall mounting is pretty simple. You can see the locations here. You just want to mark those, use the screws, screw it down while it's open, things like that. I'm just going to be doing this all on the table for video purpose, so we'll leave it there. So I'm going to get this plugged in, and then we'll get this panel loaded up and we'll start going through the programming. So when you first turn on the system, you'll go through some boot screens, and once it's done booting, you'll land on a screen just like this. So to get into the programming, which is the first thing we'll need to do, we're going to push the security icon, and then we're going to go to more down here in the bottom right, and that'll pull up an icon that says tools. Now it's going to ask for a code. You need to enter the installer code. The default is 4112. You can actually use a master code there, but it'll pull up a completely different menu, so make sure you use the installer code. Next, we're going to select program. And so this is the system programming. You'll see a list of the different menus, and then you can push the down arrow right here, and that'll pull up some more. And there's also a back button for when you're ready to exit out of programming. If you need to default the system, maybe it's a takeover system, maybe you're moving to a different house, whatever the case is, you'll select default config, and then you can just select default config 1. And it'll ask, are you sure? You'll want to select yes. You get those 3 beeps, that just means that it's defaulted. And then you push back arrow to go back out. So the first thing that we're going to look at for the actual programming of the system is under system settings. So there's a lot of stuff in here, and you can see there's a down arrow. You can go down and see even more options. Most of these are going to leave on default, and I'm not going to go through all of them. The only ones we're concerned about for this video is the entry and exit delay options. So you'll see entry delay 1, entry delay 2, and exit delay. Right now they're set for 30 seconds, 30 seconds, and 60 seconds. And you know, maybe the 30 seconds for entry delay 1 is good. Maybe we'll put that on our front door where the panel's close by. But for entry delay 2, let's say there's a garage door that's a little further away. Might take a little bit longer to get in and be able to disarm the system. So we want to make that 60 seconds. So to do that, you'll just tap on that entry delay, and you see it goes up by an increment of 15 seconds. Tap it again, it does another 15 seconds, and now we're at 60 seconds. If you want a longer time, it actually keeps going up until it reaches 4 minutes, and it'll do it by 30 seconds and then 1 minute. So 30 seconds, 30 seconds, and then does it by minutes until it gets to 4 minutes. And then after it gets to 4 minutes, it goes back down to 0, and then again back up. So you'll just select you know, the closest to what you want. So we're going with 60 seconds for entry delay 2. The exit delay, I like to make the exit delay a little bit longer than my entry delays, just because, you know, sometimes when you arm the system, you still got to grab stuff, maybe get the kids out the door, whatever the case is. So let's actually make that 90 seconds. So what we have here is entry delay 1, 30 seconds, entry delay 2, 60 seconds, and an exit delay of 90 seconds. So once you have them set to whatever you want, you'll see the save button in the bottom right. You just tap that, and it'll pull you back out. So the next thing that we are going to look at, we'll scroll up, is the date and time. So you'll see a button there, date and time. Tap that. So at the top here, you'll see the month. So you can scroll through the different months, the year, you can select whatever year. And once you do that, it'll have the calendar for that month in that year. So we're going to select the day, whatever the day is. And then to change the hours and minutes, we'll push the down arrow. And so you can see there it says 904. And notice it says 0904. You have to have a 4-digit number in there. It's not 24-hour format, but it is a 4-digit number. So if you want to put 5 p.m., you have to do 05. And currently the time's about 3 o'clock, so we'll push the clear button to clear that time out. And then we do 0300. And it's PM, but if you wanted to change to AM, you just tap that button there, AM, PM, and it'll toggle. So we'll leave it on PM. And then again, you'll just push save. So the date and time is updated to the current date and time. So the next thing that we will do is program in our wireless devices for our security zones, and smoke detectors, motion detectors, door contacts, etc. So you'll see the button right under date and time that says zones. Tap that. Now there's a little bit of information in here by default. So you can see front door, back door, window, motion sensor, and then new. And you can scroll through the zones using arrow keys over here. And then you also notice zone 1 just says new. So the easiest way to add your next wireless device is to push the add new button. This will take you to the first available zone without any serial numbers programmed in for a wireless device. So we push add new and it takes us right to zone 2. So zone 1 is actually reserved for hardwired devices. Don't need to use it necessarily, most people won't, but it is there in case you want to use it. So the next screen here, you'll see it says serial number, loop number, zone description 1, zone description 2, device type, response type, alarm report, chime, and supervision. So we'll take a little bit of time going through each of these as we set up a zone. First, for this zone, we're going to set up our garage door sensor. So this sensor right here, we're going to program it in as our garage door. So we'll tap the serial number. And here it says enter serial number or activate sensor. So I like to activate the sensor just to make sure it's transmitting. It's easy, quick. But these devices do have labels on them with a 7-digit number, and that's the number you would enter in if you're wanting to enter the serial number. That's also the number you'll look at to check to make sure that the correct device is transmitting. So to activate the door contact, you just take the magnet away, put it close together. You get that beep, and then you'll want to do it again. You get a double beep, and then it shows that 7-digit number, and it'll also show a loop number right there, which is important for when you are manually entering it. The loop number is pretty important. When you do it this way, it'll automatically put in the loop number. So activate sensor again to confirm this. We get a triple beep, pulls us out. It shows the 7-digit serial number there. Under loop number, it shows loop number 2 automatically. If you're manually doing this, you'll just tap on it and it will scroll through the different loop numbers. When you manually do it, always check in the installation manual, and it'll tell you which loop number corresponds to what. So just make sure you're always using the correct loop number. For the zone description, you can see a zone description 1 says front, zone description 2 is blank, and then device type says door. So the zone label for this zone is effectively front door. We want to change it to garage door, but maybe you have like a motion detector in your upstairs hall. So you want to call it upstairs hallway motion. So you do upstairs, hallway, and then motion sensor as a device type. For this one, we're just going to tap on description 1. And you'll see it shows front in the little box there. It's got a nice virtual keyboard here. We're going to clear it out. And the way I like to do it, I like to use the built-in library as much as possible, which you can check the manual for. You can do custom labels as well, and you can change uppercase, lowercase there. And so the easiest way to do it is just to keep it in lowercase. And the reason for that I'll show you in just a second. But so we're going to push G for garage.
Gallery.
Gallery is the first word in the built-in vocabulary in the G's, basically. So it's going to go alphabetical order. So if we push A, it's going to stay on gallery.
Gallery.
And then R.
Garage.
Changes it to garage. So the only word that starts with G-A-R in the built-in library word bank is garage. So at that point we could hit done. I'm going to clear it out and show you what I mean about changing to capital.
Gallery.
So it looks exactly the same right there, but if you don't change back, then you're just entering a custom word. At that point, it's not actually going to enunciate the word garage. So we'll go back.
Gallery. Garage.
Garage. So once you have the word in, you'll just push done. Zone description 2, we just want it to be garage door. So we're going to leave that blank because device type door is what we want. But if you wanted to change it, you tap there and it'll go through and give you various options. You can scroll down and see even more. There is a garage door option, but maybe this is just the man door or whatever. So we'll just leave it on door for this example. And then response type. So this just tells the system how that zone acts. So for door, these are your options. It'll change depending on the device type. And so for our example, our entry delay 2, we actually have our longer entry delay that we wanted for our garage door. So we'll select entry exit 2. Now alarm report and supervision, almost always you're just going to leave those alone. You'll want the zone to report alarms, you'll want the zone to be supervised. Chime you can generally leave alone as well. If you want a different chime, you can start scrolling through them and it'll play an example just to show you one. So that's the melody chime. And you can keep pushing it and it'll toggle through all the different options. Once you have it on one that you like, you'll just hit save. And so now garage door, this sensor is programmed in. So the next example, we're just going to do a motion detector since it's a little bit different. So we'll select add new. It takes us to zone 3. And just to show you the loop number that I was talking about, so it's showing loop number 2 there right now, but that'll change. For motion detectors, the way I like to do it is right before I program them in, I put the battery in and close the case. It takes a minute for the motion detector to completely start up. As you can see, the LED is flashing. So while it's doing that, we can go into serial number and just wait until hold it still until the LED stops flashing. Just takes about 30 seconds or so. If you don't do it this way, you put the battery in early, a lot of times the motion detector will go into a sleep mode to preserve battery life, and so you won't be able to automatically transmit the signal. If you do it that way, you can just tamper the device. It works similarly, it should wake it up. So you can see the LED stop flashing, so if we just move it side to side, LED lights up, and we get a beep. So do it again. Double beep. You can see there displayed a 7-digit and then it shows loop 1 instead of loop 2. So do it a third time to confirm. And there you go. So it's got the serial number in. Loop number was on 2, but it automatically switched to loop number 1. That's the nice thing about doing it the automatic way, by transmitting. So zone description for this, let's say this is going to be our kitchen motion sensor. So description 1, we'll tap there, clear it out, and then just K.
Kitchen.
Kitchen's the first word in the library there, so we'll hit done. Don't need a zone description 2 for this zone either. And then device type, we switch to motion sensor. So now the response type list has actually changed to reflect the kind of device we have. Generally with a motion sensor you're going to use interior follower. What that means is that the interior portion means that when you're armed in stay mode, that's going to be disabled. That way you're not accidentally setting the alarm off when you walk through the house. When it's in away mode, it's going to be active. The follower portion means that it's going to follow entry delays. So if somebody comes in, say through the garage door, goes into the kitchen, the entry delay is still going. If this was not a delay follower, the alarm would immediately go off when it sees motion. But since it's a delay follower, the entry delay effectively disables the motion detector. So we're going to select that. If you had selected perimeter, for instance, it would be active in stay mode and it would not follow the entry delay. So any perimeter zone, even during an entry delay that is broken when the system's armed, immediately causes an alarm. So again, alarm report we're going to leave on yes, supervision we're going to leave supervised. And for motion detectors, especially on a wireless system, the chime is generally disabled. Again, the motion detectors will go into a sleep mode whenever they're inactive for a certain amount of time. This is to preserve battery life. But that also means that it's not constantly looking for motion and transmitting motion. So chime's usually not that useful for a motion detector. You could activate it if you want. I'm going to leave it disabled for this, so we'll hit save. And so then you just keep going through the list. That's just the 2 examples I'm going to give here, but pretty much every device is a very similar process. And so once you're done with that, you'll just go back out. So the last thing that we're going to program in is this key fob. So to do key fobs, or any wireless key, you'll select the key button. So there's none currently programmed, so you'll just select add new. If you had one in there, you can obviously edit or delete it, but we'll do add new. First selection there is key type. 4 button, we got 4 button here, so that's the correct one. If you had a 1 or a 2 button, you just tap here and it cycles through the different kinds. So then up here is user. You have to select a user, the key fob won't work. We're just going to select master for this case. Serial number. And again, you can enter the serial number. It's printed on the back right there. Easy to just type it in. Or you can activate by just pushing any one of the buttons. It doesn't matter which one. But you see how I'm pushing different buttons? I'm just getting the one beep. You actually have to use the same button 3 times in a row. There you go. So it automatically selects the starting zone number. You can go in and choose the starting zone number if you really want to. I usually just let it automatically select it. And then the next 4 there are the different keys. So arm away, disarm, arm stay, all 3 of those are good. The 4th button, it just has no response right now. I like to change that to 24-hour audible. You can pick whatever you want, really. Maybe you want to do a silent panic, whatever it is. So once you have everything selected, you just push save. And there it is, programmed in. You could add another one, edit any of them, whatever you want to do. Once you're done, you'll just hit back. So the last thing here, when you're exiting programming, this is very important. You push the back button and then this screen pops up. Allow installer to re-enter programming. We've had lots of people that accidentally select no here. You want to select yes, it'll make things a lot easier on you. It's not the end of the world if you select no. There's just a way you have to turn the system on and go into programming. It just makes it a little bit more difficult. It's not a super easy process like typing in a 4-digit code. So we'll select yes. And now we're back to this menu. You can go back in. You can just hit the home button. That'll take you all the way out. And then you can test the system. So you see how it, not ready to arm, ready to arm, that's working. We can test our key fob.
Armed away. Exit now. Armed, ready to arm.
So everything's working. So that's it for the programming on the Honeywell Lynx L5210. We went through all the basics, so if you follow those easy steps, you'll have an up-and-running system in no time. As always, you can check our website for all our great products. We have a lot of resources, FAQs, things like that on there. Or you can give us a call. We got the number up on the screen for you. And thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.